Good evening. My name's Steve Connolly, Superintendent of Schools, MSAD 60. It's my great pleasure to say that. I'm in my 7th year at this time, and this is certainly the best place to work, the best district, and I don't say that lightly. I thoroughly enjoy the job, and I appreciate the opportunity tonight to talk to people about what our plans are for renovations and expansions. We've already done a facility forum at the Lebanon schools, and we're looking at the facility forum for Hussey tonight. We have another upcoming facility forum at North Berwick Elementary School that will be on, I remember that date? What?
February 6th.
February 6th at 6 p.m. to about 7:30. So I'm going to introduce a few folks to you tonight. Here we have Ron Delisle, who is the Assistant Director of Facilities and Finance. Next to him, we have Neil Raposa, who is from Civil Consultants. We have Kevin Moore, the Facilities and Finance Director. We have Travis Dwyron, who is, yes, he's firefighter Travis, but he's also school board member Travis. We have the principal of the school, Audra Bove, in her 19th year. Down the way, we have Shannon Swiger, who is the assistant principal of the school. In your third year. See, time flies. Yeah. And we have Tyler Windsor, who is also on the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee. He is the assistant principal at Noble High School. We have board members here. We have Nancy Newbert, who is the chair, and Joanne Potter, who is on the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee as well. Joanne just does all our committees. That's a simple rule. We go by that. And then we have Denise Van Kampen. She is, I refer to her as the Duchess of Dollar. She is the business manager for the district. And we have visiting us tonight, we have Anita Haberzettel. Did I say your last name correctly? Haberzettel. Yeah, missed by one vowel. So she's the librarian here at the school, and Sandra. So thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to start off, first of all, with an exterior tour. It's a brief tour. We're going to look at, we'll step out from the gym side, go around to the front of the school, and then over to where the expansion area would be that we'll talk about that's on the map here. Followed by that, so you might want to bring your cell phone with a flashlight on it. Followed by that, we'll have a brief interior tour that Shannon Swiger is going to direct that part. Am I correct? Okay, and then we'll come back in here and complete our presentation for you tonight. So we're going to take a little bit of break while we get ready to go outside. A little bit of rain out there right now.
So we'll just go up to the right up to the horseshoe. How's that? Be careful, a little slick. You guys want to take that? Oh, I hold this.
I'm good. Oh, the way.
Don't shine on me.
It's our light for the camera.
So, part of the proposed plan in the renovation is also an upgrade of the parking and the drop-off areas here for students, visitors, and buses. Currently, they come in out. There's a horseshoe bus loop right here. The proposed plan is to go down the other end where the soccer fields are to make an incoming parking lot with approximately 30 spaces in it, and change the drop-off. Drop-off will now come down alongside the gymnasium, and it will eliminate the horseshoe that the cars currently come in to alleviate some of the congestion that happens in the morning and the afternoon. The bus drop-off will still stay the same, and also another proposed parking area is on the west side of the school over there where the old baseball field used to be. Okay? So, anything new?
No, I mean, I'll just, Neil Raposa from Civil Consultants, and I just wanted to introduce, it's going to be kind of a recurring theme, but a lot of the work we're proposing to do to the exterior here is due to the fact that when this was all developed, the regulations from DEP weren't the same as they are today, and a lot of the things needed to be upgraded, and they never got the proper permitting. So we are going to bring this back into conformance and treat the stormwater coming off the site to today's standards and improve the quality of the water going into the brook. And this is kind of part of that effort here. We're going to be taking away this, this impervious area here, this horseshoe, and then we're going to try to reutilize all the wet area. That lawn out there gets pretty wet, and what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to make that now a gravel wetland, which is more of a natural, natural environment, and you get treatment out of that for all this runoff coming out of here, and improves, like I said, improves the quality of the runoff going into the brook. So we'll hear more about that as we go.
Okay, we'll head to the other side where the renovation addition's going. Be careful, it is a little icy over here. And just a kind of brief idea of where the other part of the parking area I told you was going to happen here at the old baseball field right there. There'll be an entrance down the farther end. They'll come in, it'll be just a one-way in, one-way out, so there'll be no connection to the school as far as drive-through area. There will be obviously a walkway for staff or visitor parking, whichever we decide we're going to do. Either way.
Take the light off the space, please. Sorry.
Any questions on the parking? Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Okay, currently, this is going to be the area where the proposed addition will be. Also, you're going to hear tonight probably a discussion of a modular or portable classrooms. We had one out in this area approximately 4 years ago, and it's going to go exactly in the same place where it was before, because all the connections are still here as far as utilities, internet connections to the building. So that'll go in the same general area. The addition will be right here. It'll be basically closing in these two wings, making it one complete, basically a horseshoe connection, connecting the two wings together. And Neil will kind of give you an idea of, what that entails.
Okay, so initially we were, evaluating the school to see if we could come through and make an addition just to this wing on this side possible and make it work with the needs for the building and what we projected coming in for students and in specialty classrooms and things of that nature. And it quickly became apparent that what we could get in with the school as is with just an addition was not going to be sufficient. So what we decided was to move forward with a plan to actually enclose the building with the horseshoe all the way around and upgrade the whole system, the fire suppression system in the building to allow for that extra area. So what we're going to do is we're planning on enclosing this, keeping it all on this existing paved area, so we're not disturbing any more of the natural space that has already been disturbed. And our intent is to maintain a center courtyard with the vegetation and the landscaping as is on the interior there, to have kind of an outside, learning area and space for the students.
Any questions, thoughts on where the renovation addition will be going?
The fire suppression system, because this one has to go for the whole school or just for the addition? Do you want to repeat that?
The question was, does the fire suppression have to go just for the renovation, or do we have to do the whole school?
Nope, the fire suppression system would be for the entire school. The entire school would now have to be fed up with a full NRPA 13 system, which is the standard fire suppression system today, and it allows for much greater area in your building than if you try to just have a building that is not sprinkled. So in order to get the space we need, the entire building would have to be sprinkled, and then we can continue the use throughout the structure.
Any other questions?
Is the addition just for classrooms?
I think we haven't quite, the question was, is the addition just for classrooms? We haven't quite determined that yet. There'll be some classrooms we've talked about possibly moving the library here maybe. There'll be, I think Audra can elaborate more on that as she, kind of decides what she needs where in her building. Other questions? So I think we can go inside now and
Going to take a look at the parking, playground is?
Oh, do you want to discuss the playground?
Playground? Or?
Yeah, we just got to go over here and address one more thing as far as the playground structure goes.
All right, so this is in the area of the corner of the proposed building. Sorry. It's the area of the corner of the proposed building. It's going to be coming out to about here. The plan is to renovate and modify the playground. When it was constructed over the years in several different sections, a portion of the playground was actually constructed in an area that was too close to the wetland in the back here next to the brook. So, like I said, to meet the new guidelines, we'd be pulling all that back, upgrading the playground equipment. We'd be getting some accessibility, usable equipment back into the playground, and we'd be bringing the path out here, so it would be a more visible play area where they'd be able to watch everybody in the field and everybody that was out in the playground at once. We've had some discussion that it's hard to observe everyone at one time. So that would be our plan for the playground back here. We'd be trying to get some buffers down to that wetland down there to protect it environmental requirements, and beyond that, we've had some discussion about some of the overheating of the school in the back here. So with the architectural plan, we'd attempt to bring in some provisions to naturally cool that side of the building from the sunlight.
Okay, we can head inside now.
Okay, so I'm just going to give a quick little overview before we show you some of the classrooms. We have 35 classroom spaces in here, 25 are for grade level classrooms. We have 7 kindergartens, 6 first grades, 6 second, and 6 third grades. The other classroom spaces, we have 3 programs for some of our high need children, and we have 2 Title I programs as well. And then the other spaces in the building are workspaces. We have about 410 students. So we're just going to show you some typical grade level classrooms and the spaces, what they look like. Some of our Title I areas where our reading interventions going on and math, and then some of our specialized programs. We'll show you some of those. So the first, you could just take a quick peek in here. This is one of our, trying to maximize all of our space. This is one of our Title I reading intervention spots. And then you can make your way into one of our typical kindergarten classrooms in here.
So when you say Title I, can you explain for folks that's
Yep. So Title I is for students who just need a little extra boost in some of their academics and federally. Some of the money is federally funded. It's not a special ed program. So that's just one space. And then if you just want to see what a typical kindergarten classroom looks like, you can meander in there and then make your way out, and then we're going to go up this staircase. We're going to go back up this way.
Lead the way.
Okay.
I just have to.
Okay, so that's just a typical kindergarten classroom. We'll go up this way, and you can see we are utilizing all of our spaces for storage and what we can with our paper storage over here. So I'm going to open up a first grade classroom over here, tour around a typical first grade size classroom. Okay, we're going to walk now to the other side of the building. We won't stop in any of these classrooms, but we're going to check out a couple more on the other side. And these are mixed grades in all the hallways. We've got first grade, third grade, specially designed instruction rooms, second grade, so they're not grade specific. So this is our current cafeteria and our library. And just 2 more rooms just to show you some different programs. Actually, we wanted to show you just our nurse's office. Do you want me to bring them in through? Yeah, okay. Right. And then we just have one more last stop, well, 2 more classrooms. This is our OT-PT room, which is connected to one of our high needs classrooms. And then it's connected to a classroom for some of our medically fragile students, which we can't really walk through. There's a sand table blocking it right now, but. And then we have one last example of a shared space. We have 4 Title I teachers who share this space. They could see on average 3 to 5 children at a time, so a lot of kids, a lot of teachers. They really try to maximize the space. But that's really just a sampling of our typical grade level classrooms and then our specially designed classrooms. Yes?
The nurses.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes. We didn't, there was a sand table blocking it, but we can walk in this way. This is the classroom for some of our medically fragile children. That's it. If anyone want to come. This is Marina's room now.
So these are connected rooms in here?
No, well, they are, but
Yeah.
she used to have both rooms, and now this space is just hers. The other side is OT-PT.
And
Yeah,
like the bathroom
the
is
bathroom.
not sufficient, that's why we.
Privacy.
Privacy
Yeah.
curtains. Any major things I forgot to
Nope,
leave
I
out?
think
Okay, and that concludes your tour of the inside. Head back to the gym.
Yes, please, thanks.
I'm done, we're skipping over that. We haven't done that.
Okay. Do I just want one of these on, Terry? No, both. Both, okay. Okay, so we're going to start off with talking about the facility, the current facility use, and a little bit of the historic information about the facility. So Audra Beauvais is going to kick that off for us.
Just give me a thumbs up if I need to talk louder. Thank you. So I'm Audra Beauvais. This is my 19th year as principal at the Hussey School. So I've seen and lived through some of this historical piece that we're going to share. The Hussey School opened in September of 1990 for Berwick's kindergarten to third graders. At that time, it was the newest district building, and it's currently the second youngest school in the district, following Noble High School. During the first several years at Hussey School, the Berwick Head Start program was housed in the school, as were 3 district-wide elementary high needs special education programs. There was half-day kindergarten, and we had 6 to 7 sections per grade level at the highest enrollment years, which dropped to 5 or 6 sections when some grade levels showed smaller enrollment. There have been a lot of changes in the Berwick's school programs. In 2005, when Berwick Elementary School, which is the old brick pile, as some people call it, so Estabrook Doran, down the street across from Cumberland Farms, when that closed, the 4th graders came over to the Hussey School. At that time, we had grade level student sizes between 95 and 130 students, putting the Hussey total enrollment at 500 or a little above. Due to the high numbers and classroom spaces being at or near capacity, we needed to add a double-wide cottage or portable classroom from 2011 to 2015. In 2012, due to the continued space issues at Hussey School and at the middle school, it was decided to shift the 4th graders to the current Knowlton School, the 6th graders to Noble Middle School, and the 8th graders to Noble High School. Since that time, Hussey School remains the Berwick kindergarten to 3rd grade school. We currently have 25 grade level classrooms, as Mrs. Swiger mentioned during the tour, 7 sections of full day kindergarten, 6 sections of each 1st to 3rd grade, 3 district-wide high needs classrooms. The special purpose classrooms have smaller numbers of students who require comprehensive programming. There are a number of adults working in the programs, facilitating student learning and ensuring safety of students. Additionally, there are 8 Title I educational technicians, 2 interventionists, and a building-wide Title I coordinator. There are 5 specials: art, music, PE, library, and computer. We have a total enrollment, as of this moment, of 410 students. Currently, our largest grade level enrollment is 1st grade with 117 students, and our smallest grade level is 92 students in 2nd grade. There continues to be robust building in the town. This is what we know from James Bellissimo, right? Oh, thank you, at the town offices as of November. 115 Old Pine Hill Road, there's 2 8-unit buildings with 2 bedrooms each. This is being constructed now. Normand Court is a 16-lot subdivision, which is off of Old Pine Hill Road. Down the road, there's a for sale sign for Blackberry Hill Retirement Community of 90 units. This will be right now currently for 55 plus, but we do anticipate that we will be getting some students if that land is purchased and developed. The old Prime Tanning development down the road, there still isn't a lot of movement happening down there, but they do have a phase-in that could support 200 units over time, 30 to 40 units per section. In addition to some tight spaces, we have shown this evening, the state is encouraging districts to explore options for some sort of preschool programming over the next few years. The current number of classroom spaces, coupled with the specialized programming, will not be able to support ongoing building in Berwick and the addition of programs or much higher enrollments over time. Our playground and parking areas are of concern, as well as the space issues within the building. Mr. Moore referred to that during the tour. While we don't have official architectural plans fully developed, we're going to share initial ideas with you to address those concerns, in addition to the building facility itself. In spite of our current size challenges and anticipated growth, we work hard to adapt while having minimal impact on student learning, and we will continue to do so. The Berwick community has always been supportive of the Hussey School, and we're so thankful for that continued support. Thank you.
Ms. Bove mentioned that if a 55 and up community goes in, that we expect to see students come from that kind of setting as well. And that's because there are a lot of blended family needs where you have grandparents raising children, or you have the grandparents and their children and the grandchildren in the same home. So I know of a similar community that has had struggles, legal struggles with the 55 and up and students attending schools from there. And as far as I'm given to understand, there is not a ruling that a judge has made that they're going to say to a student in a tough situation, a young kid, you're not going to be living there because of a stipulation in a 55 and up housing. So that's always an interesting question for communities to grapple with. So right now we're going to move to Neil Raposa, who is our civil consultants resource, and he's going to talk a little also about the map that we see right here. Neil, thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, as Steve said, my name is Neil Raposa with Civil Consultants. Just going to go over some of the the bullet points of the school and the needs for the school and the site as we've gone through and analyzed what's going to be needed here in the future with this population. As Audra said, the school started service in 1990, and it's in very good condition. The bones of the building and the site really are in good shape. This, what we're trying to get across here is not, how this school is deficient. It's just undersized for the use that's coming into it. We're just trying to upgrade with the times and provide a space that, that can be utilized into the future with the amount of people coming into it. Some of the portions of the school are outdated but still serviceable. We think they could be easily upgraded through the use of, getting this new space and then doing small upgrades to the existing building and really extend the life of the building here. As I mentioned out in the on the tour there, the additions that we're proposing would require upgrade of some of the facilities within the existing building, full sprinkler. It's an expensive proposition, but it's well worth it in a public school to get this in. It's pretty standard now to get it worked into to all the new school buildings and educational facilities, to have them sprinkled, and then it allows us so much more freedom to modify the building as we need to get this extra space in here. As far as the site issues here on the site, like we said, a lot of improvements were made right after it was built in 1989, and all those little projects over time built up to a point where it needed much more permitting than it had, and that we are in the process of right now getting everything, even the things that are shown on our proposed plan. We're trying to get all of this development permitted at one time, so it'll be ready to go when the full architectural build out is and the funding is received for this project. It will be, there won't be any holdup at the state Department of Environmental Protection portion of it. Really trying to improve the conditions out there. Right now it's a little bit of a free-for-all. Everything got developed and then it just drains into the brook. So we're trying to improve that as much as possible. And we've been in talks with the DEP, and they're very, very receptive to the ideas we've brought to the table. So it's encouraging. The parking, again, we talked about outside. Can I take this? So currently, the parking situation that they talked about that was very congested at drop-off and pickup time is the parents coming in to drop off and pick up in this area. This is this small turnaround, that horseshoe out there, that we are going to try to eliminate and pull all of this entering and exiting traffic off to this side and get it away from where we have our bus exit coming through here. Just try to get as much space between those as possible. And also our new parking that we show out here, this is limited to what we can get in here with the wetlands out here. There's wetlands out on this side of the site that we're really trying to protect as much as possible and make sure that Environmental Protection Agency is okay with what we're going to propose out there. As far as our development on this side, we talked briefly out there about trying to establish some, they're called gravel wetlands in here, and it's more of a treatment facility, but it really blends into the natural landscape of the area here, and actually brings up the value of these wetlands out here. It provides a little more filtration and ecological value to what's out there, which is now just a wet mowed lawn. So with this, the changes we show on here, we'll be able to get 69 new parking spaces onto the property, which we believe will help quite a bit with the overcrowding and the events that happen here. And that's due to the fact that since the school is in good shape and it's laid out well, a lot of the district events do happen at this school. So, and we talked about the existing playground out there, modifying that to bring that into a more updated layout and something that's an accessible space and provides opportunity for shade and different levels of activity out there. And that's really what we're trying to get moving with this project. And if anybody has any questions about either this plan here or anything I've spoken about, please feel free. Thank you.
So there may be questions about what kind of a process goes on, what's involved in this. First off, in all three of the projects that we're talking about, between building a new Lebanon Elementary School, the renovation addition, the addition here, and then the renovation and some additional space at North Berwick Elementary School. These projects are largely based, the two of them are based on the need for increased population and specialized programming, and the third one is based on, the Lebanon School is based on the fact that the facility is not something that would be a good investment 30 years down the road to be able to put money into today. We would not see the gain from that in the future. So in the process that we're working on, first of all, there's a site study that's done. Well, the site studies have happened at the schools, so we can check that box. The information to Facilities and Finance Subcommittee, that's subcommittee of the school board, that is ongoing. And recommendations to the board, that is ongoing as well. And presentations to the community. Here we are. So next steps, because sometimes people think, aren't these things sort of done deals? What happens? You're bringing an idea forward, this is what's just going to happen. And in reality, we have to go through and should go through a public vote. So the public has a say at the polls on what happens. And we also have to go through state approval to tear down a school in Lebanon and to build a new school and for the additions here. We also have to make sure that all the DEP or any EPA requirements are met, and those are phases in the plan. We also have to make sure that if the vote is positive from the public, that we meet Maine Bond Bank schedules every 6 months. The bonds are released, so we have to figure out our timing there so that after a polling, if it's positive polling results, then we can move forward to the next phase with the Maine Bond Bank. So there are several steps to go yet. Now, one of the issues that people might talk about is, folks may remember that the high school, when it was built at $34 million, it was first approved in 1997, and it was completed in 2001. It was the most expensive building project in the history of the state at that time. You may know that in Sanford, there's a new high school that was just constructed and opened at $92 million. So the price tags they're just a little bit to scale, a little different right now. So at the time when the high school was built, it was almost completely funded by state dollars. And that's because the district had debt service on this school that was built in 1990. They had debt service on the Hanson Elementary School, another piece of the phase of construction there. that was maybe 86-ish. Then there was also North Berwick Elementary School that had phased construction. I think the last one was 83 to 86, somewhere in there. So there was enough debt service on schools and construction with such rapid growth in the 80s in these communities that the school district qualified for, we reached a circuit breaker and qualified for state funds. We would not, the only debt service that we technically have on the schools right now, two pieces. There's one more year left in the debt service at the high school that is part of the 20-year bond that happened for that school, and that's offset by state subsidy. And then we also have from the ARRA stimulus package that happened several years ago, we have some funds left to pay off there. But we do not come close to any circuit breakers to move us up on a list to be gaining more opportunity from the state coffers on these building constructions. Now, two of the schools we're talking about additions, and those may qualify for a revolving renovations fund that the state has. But that fund, there were no schools that met approval in the state for use of that fund in 2017-18, and to date, there has been no release of any schools that have qualified in 18-19. So I think the way that works is if there's no money in the fund, they don't qualify, schools. So we'll have to see what happens. We don't know how this is going to play out. Different administrations, different legislatures, we'll see how funding goes. But we will be applying for the renovation fund. We will be applying for for large state dollars as well. So we will turn over every stone to make the best use of taxpayers' funds locally and statewide. So that's the next steps that we have to take. You'll be hearing more from us. We'll be posting a North Berwick forum later on. And then we'll also, during the budget process, be talking about some of the costs that we've absorbed this year into the budget for this process. And we'll be talking about what happens in our building phase timeline, where we are in making sure that the citizens have the information at hand. So right now, what I'm going to do is turn the mic over to Travis Dryron, who is the chairperson for the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee, for closing remarks.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys all for coming. I think we heard some good things tonight. One of the biggest things we heard is that the current facility is in some good shape for a 28-year-old building, 30-year-old building. It's in some pretty good shape. The problems that we're really running into is the growth in the towns and the special needs programs that we have coming in. So I think the three major pieces that you're going to hopefully see out of this project that will solve will be the parking lot congestions, which, as any of you have kids here, it's absolutely miserable to come here during arrival and dismissal times. So with those designs, hopefully that'll solve some of that. And the parking on the playground is a nightmare, so it'll be nice to have a nice playgrounds for our kids when they're here playing, and give us that expansion for the classrooms that we need, because currently this school is literally busting at the seams. We're not ready to overflow completely, although we might be starting next school year, but we're getting pretty close. So that's about it. Thank you guys.
One of the questions that I got from a citizen tonight was about whether or not the initiative in Lebanon, the initiative here, and the initiative in North Berwick are separate pieces that will go out as separate bonds, if they'll go out as separate questions on a poll. And actually, these will all go out under one bond, and they'll be under one referendum. The Lebanon Elementary School, to tear down that existing school and to build a new structure behind the Hanson School, would be about $24 million. This facility is about a $10.5 million price tag. And then the North Berwick Elementary School is approximately a $9 million price tag. So those numbers, you might say, boy, those seem awfully big compared to Noble High School from 1997. Well, they really, if you compare them to current construction going on around the state, that is the cost of putting in schools at this time. There's nothing, they're not amazingly fancy structures and overcost and so forth. So one of the reasons for doing these all in one bid session and at one question on the referendum is because you have different size communities. If you lived in the community that had the largest population and that went out as a separate bid and that passed, and then if you lived in the community that had a smaller population and that one didn't pass, that would be a tough situation to figure out from a district perspective. So putting all the pieces under the same bond issue and rolling it into one referendum, one bond will be a better way to go from a district perspective.